we'll be ready to go. Yeah, so there's the message there. So you can have a read or you can dismiss it there. So firstly, thanks everybody for coming on. It should be a fairly small group because it is just the under 11 football mentors that tonight's webinar is for. This night next week is under 7. Thursday night coming is for all our hurling coaches, and Thursday week is for the under 9. So in the space of the 2 weeks, we'll have all of our age groups touched with fixtures and what Go games are going to look like this year. So in 2021, obviously, we've gone to the odd ages. So we've gone down to under 7, and then this brings your group in at under 11. So just a few things that we feel will enhance the programme, and we just want to share it with you, get your thoughts on it, and then show you the fixtures that we have planned out for the year. So there's still people flying in there. So maybe I might just leave it another couple seconds to get them all in. And I'll just talk about, so Specsavers, first time we've had a true sponsor for our Go games. So Specsavers Longford have come on board to sponsor all Go games, under 7 through under 11 in both hurling and football. And as part of that, so it's not just, getting the value and sticking the name on it. Specsavers are actually doing an offer which we'll communicate with clubs in the days and weeks ahead, whereby a kid can get fitted for the proper safety goggles. So any kid that's currently wearing glasses playing, Specsavers are going to do a special offer for that and for contact lens assessment as well. So we'll communicate that offer with you out through your clubs. How it will work is you will communicate it to your parents. If anybody is interested, then they just go into Specsavers, bring in the registration number, the child's membership number. Specsavers then will come back to us with that name and number, and we'll verify that they're a member of a club, and then the offer will be valid. So fairly simple process, but again, I'm sure lots of you had kids with broken glasses and the danger that could bring, whether it be scraping an eye or some of the glass going into it. So safety goggles are what's recommended to be used, and it will be a great offer to have. So just any of those mics, still people coming in here, but any of the mics that's there, if you just can keep them knocked off. Kieran, I'll just mute everybody for now. Okay, so Kieran, you can open your own mic. Kieran and Owen is going to carry the presentation, and I'll be jumping in and out. So hopefully you enjoyed the next few minutes. And again, any questions, use the chat box or raise your hand and we'll call you in if we can. So over to you, Kieran. Thanks.
Cheers, Damien. We're actually going to kick it off with the chat box. So as Damien said, the little speech bubble at the top of the screen, I wrote in the message already. I just want your own opinion on what's your favourite thing about Go games. So if everyone throws in just a small couple of words about Go games, anyone that's been involved over the last 2 years, this is your last year of Go games, so we'd really like to get your feedback on what your favourite thing about Go games is. So start firing them in the chat box there. You've got 90 seconds, 2 minutes. The atmosphere, Damien, brilliant. Declan's having a bit of bother there. Oh, he's in there again, brilliant. Every child gets game time, Peter, brilliant. Keep firing them in there, lads. The enjoyment the kids get from the game, the competition between the teams brings the skill level onwards. Fun for the kids, brilliant stuff. Just going to give another 60 seconds, guys. Fire them in. Game time, big one. Every child gets game time all the time, brilliant. Player focused. No scores, takes emphasis away from winning or losing. Brilliant. Flexibility for kids to play in every position, and definitely key for this age group. Kids learning the skills, learn through games, brilliant. Game time, no pressure on winning or losing for younger kids. So no score, it's all about the game, the enjoyment, and the kids playing. Game time for all the kids. Fun and games. Help the kids learn game rules. Teamwork being shown. Another good point there. 10 more seconds, guys, and we'll move on. So if anyone hasn't thrown anything in, throw it in now. Brilliant. Again, game time for all the kids. Excellent. Okay, Owen, I think we'll move on. If there's more, we'll touch base on them anyway. So just the agenda for tonight. So what are Go games? Anyone that's new, a new parent involved or anything like that, we'll go through that. A lot of people would be involved over the last few years, so they'll all know it. And going by the chat here, we know the key elements to it, how they work. So like Damien said, there's new rules and new styles this year. So the rules in coaching, when will they start? We'll give you the dates and when they're happening. Training sessions, just some tips for your training sessions for this age group. Just touching on the health questionnaire again and the importance of it. And we have a checklist that you can take a screenshot or a picture of at the end. Thanks, Owen. So what are Go games? So you've pretty much mentioned all this in the chat already, which is brilliant. So small sided games with an emphasis on development. So the smaller side of the games, the more touches the kids have. Emphasis on fun, so fun enjoyment were said a lot of times in the chat there. Lots of touches, again, important for development. No scorekeeping, all fun, focus on developing the kids and making sure they're enjoying it. Active coaching, so both coaches always involved, both teams coaches, encouraging both sides, encouraging all the players, getting their coaching tips in during the game. And the most important one, that every child gets a game. Thanks, Owen. So how do they work? So Owen, I might actually get you to come in on this one.
Yeah, no problem. I assume you can hear me there, Kieran.
Right.
So we're just going to go through, I suppose, how did it work? So most of us there, you can see from the chat box, are fairly familiar, but there might be some things that are new or some things that probably might be going on. So it's just to highlight everything for everyone. So the first thing is all this information is in the booklet that was sent out to all the clubs earlier in the year. So if anyone has any questions on the rules or they can't remember them after tonight, we're there to give a call, but all the information is there. And if you want to take a screenshot of that screen there now, that's probably the most important information that is in that book. And it just outlines what kind of a blitz would look like at under 11 Go games and all the little bits of information that you'll need. And we're just going to go through them now and just highlight a few things. So starting at the top, so for the most part, probably a blitz is going to look like two clubs coming to a venue, and they're going to have two teams each, and then that'll work out as 2 or maybe 3 games, depending on how many teams. So if there's 2 teams coming from each club, that's 4 teams altogether. Probably they'll get 2 to 3 games, and then the games will be 20 minutes max. So that's probably just going to be under 10 minutes a half. And there is a half time, and particularly on a windy day, just to swap over so one team doesn't have more of an advantage than another team. And then the whole thing should be about 60 minutes max. So the whole thing should be wrapped up in an hour. So then in terms of setting up our pitches and what equipment is needed, so starting off with the football, so we're looking at a smart touch or a quick touch football. Again, that's for the coaches to decide. It mightn't be the same for every game on a night, but it's up to the coach to decide what they want to use there. Then the size of the pitch, so in width it's 50 meters and in length about 80 meters. And then for the goals, if they're schoolboy goals, they're great and they can be fully secured, fantastic. But if not, we can use poles as well. So it doesn't really matter whether it's a point or a goal, as there's no scores being counted anyway. So as long as it's in between 2 posts, that's good enough. So then in terms of setting up your pitches, you can see the background there. If you had 6 teams coming, you needed 3 pitches. Probably the easiest way is to set them lengthways across the pitch. Just bearing in mind, come in from the sidelines so that footballs aren't flying everywhere and into ditches and things like that. Obvious enough. And then the width them probably out to about the 45 or a bit further, and then the one in the middle. Or if you had 4 teams and you needed 2 pitches, probably the easiest way is to just come up to the far 65 on each side and that way then you have your pitches marked out pretty easily, and it'll only take one sideline here and one sideline here. Everything else is pretty much marked out. And again, just leaving that bit of space behind the pitch at the end line so that the footballs aren't going off the pitch as much as we can. So then in terms of the players and the teams, what are they going to look like? So we're looking at, the big thing here is 11 players max. So, you know, sorry. So looking at 8, 9, 10 players possibly, but a maximum of 11 players on a team. And that's because if there's more players than that, it's probably just not going to suit the size of the pitch. And there'll be very few touches then for players if it goes above that. So we can see there, if we set it up with a goalkeeper, 4 defenders, 2 midfielders and 4 attackers, or some sort of shape like that, that'll probably work best. And then, as someone said in the chat, rotating the players to play different positions is crucial, so that the coach is constantly trying to move players into different positions and experience different things, and then particularly going from match to match. Potentially you could say to your 4 attackers, you have 2 people swapping all the time, so the team never looks the same and people get experience of playing in all different positions. So then, as you said as well, a crucial thing about the Go games, and I suppose this is where it's really nailed down, is the playing time per child. So ideally we want to get a full game for every child for every game. So if we have 2 clubs coming with 2 teams, we should have a child coming and they're going to get a full 2 games, that there's not 10 minutes spent on the sideline and then 10 minutes in a game, that we want as much game time for everyone as we can. Substitutions are unlimited and they're certainly allowed, but if we can limit how many substitutes we have in general, then everyone will be getting more time. And obviously there is going to be children that are going to want a break. There could be a few injuries or just getting tired, so obviously we can have substitutions there, but the more time we can get children involved and playing the game, the better. And then obviously the big word there, no scores recorded, and that takes the whole competitive edge out of it, and the emphasis is gone off winning and losing, and it's about developing and having fun. Obviously some kids are going to kind of be counting the score, and that we can't stop that, but we take the emphasis away from winning and losing. Then in terms of the coach intervention, so we're looking for minimal instruction during the games, because to be honest, children can't hear us probably during the game. So if we can be watching the game and coming up with key points that we can bring to children and players after the game, in between the games, and then actively encouraging everyone as much as we can. In terms of refereeing, no harm, one of the coaches can do the refereeing, and if there's a Go Games referee there, brilliant. But for the most part, it's probably just going to be one coach stepping in just to referee the game. And again, there's no emphasis on winning and losing. The referee is there to help both sides and improve the quality of the game, rather than to favour anyone or be very strict on rules. So it's important that any coach come and has a whistle and just are prepared that if they need to, they can step in and ref a bit of a game. I'm just going to get Damien to come in there, then he's going to explain some of these specific rules of the gameplay, and just clarify a few things and kind of the reasoning behind them. So if you want to come in there, Damien.
Yeah, thanks, Owen. So these obviously rules that Go games are, they're sort of loose enough in that they're designed to make the game better, but they're not hard and fast that if the rule is broken, that it's a guaranteed free. So by under 11, it really must be the correct pickup. So at younger age grades, we're kind of happy enough as long as they're on their feet and they're making an attempt at it. But at under 11, it must be correct pickups with a good action and trying to get the ball up into their hands properly. So if that's not working out, then obviously teams need to work more on it within their training. But it is something that referees would need to be pulling up if somebody is continually picking the ball off the ground. Now, where we have girls playing, once girls play schoolboy football, they need to pick up the ball correctly with their toe, or correctly, I say, the way the boys pick it up. So it would be recommended that at under 11, that every player is picking the ball up using their toe, as opposed to a separate rule for girls and boys, because we know they're girls and boys, but the kids themselves just see them as other kids. So a boy seeing a girl picking the ball off the ground can't understand why they can't do it. They don't make the differential that that's a girl and there's different rules for the girls than there are for the boys. So it's easier just to keep it nice and clean and work off the correct pickup. So again, maximum of 2 plays. You're very familiar with all of that. That's been constant down through the years. So what we'd prefer to see, as opposed to the 4 steps, 4 steps for a child is very small amount of time to work between plays. So what we'd like to see is kids encouraged to travel with the ball a little bit more, get their head up and see can they pick a pass, as opposed to feeling under pressure to take a hop or a solo. And maybe as soon as they get the ball, they take the solo and then they lift their head and all of a sudden they need to do a bounce or whatever it is. So we want to try and encourage kids that when they receive a ball, that they drop the hammer, try and move, keep their head up and see can they pick a pass and the give and go or whatever it may be, but to try and keep the ball moving. So we'd like to work off that kind of 6 steps, allow the kid a little bit more time on the ball and hopefully that they can execute a good pass. So tackling, this is something that you're only seeing the under 11, but all the way down to under 7. So under 7 is going to be shadow tackling, non-contact. So we're trying to prevent the kids grabbing the ball off each other. Once it goes up to under 9, it will only be 1v1 tackling. And then at under 11, it's a max of 2v1. So basically, if a third person comes in to double up or triple up on a person with the ball, it's an automatic free. So again, we would be looking for ye as coaches to discourage multiple players going towards the ball, because then it doesn't become tackling. And you're actually trying to coach your kid to tackle the other kid properly. And that can't happen when there's multiple bodies around the ball. So 2v1 as most in the tackle. Person foul takes the free. That's common down through the years. And sidelines taken by the nearest player, and you sort of try and rotate that to get more people on the ball as well. Mark was in there with a question about the zones. So again, the zones is something that has worked and hasn't worked down through the years. They only work if they're being coached within training sessions. And if they're not being coached, then it's complete carnage when you go to a blitz and there are zones set up. So particularly at under 11, at under 10, you were probably even just working with 2 zones with a halfway line. So if you decide to do it, communicate it with the other group that you want to put in a halfway line and try and keep it. But we feel that at this age, zones are not required, and that if the kids are coached properly to hold their positions and not just all chase after the ball, particularly with the length that we have in the pitch, that the zone is not required. But we would be recommending that you would be using some form of zones within training to get players to understand their positions, and it's not just chasing the ball. So hopefully that has addressed all of those. And if there is any other questions, you can fire them into the chat box. Thanks, Owen.
Lovely, Damien. Thank you. So Damien will be talking about this more at the end, but on a day when there is a blitz, there'll be a whole load of fixtures set up. So you can see there the clubs are paired off, but I'm just focusing on down here at the minute. So there'll always be, I think it's 3 clubs on a bye, or kind of not going to a blitz or going to a game on a certain week. And the reasoning behind that is to obviously give people a break, but mainly to allow a spare club, if it's needed, to fix up the numbers and make the numbers work better. So we have a scenario here that coming to a blitz, we have the blue club is coming with 20 players and the red club is coming with 13 players. So before the blitz, it's important that the coaches chat together, particularly the host coach knows the amount of players they're expecting to come from their own club and the other club, and then to kind of have a bit of a plan to how it's going to work out. So in this scenario, we have 20 coming from the blue club, 13 coming from the red club, and it's kind of what's the best fit to get the most out of the blitz for the players. So probably what usually would happen is up here at the top. So the team of 20 coming would split into a 6 and 7, because the red club only can do that. So you'd have a team of 6 on each from each club and a team of 7 from each club, and then there'd be 7 subs from the blue club. Not the end of the world, but at the same time, the 7 subs there is probably a bit wasteful. It means that there's only going to be a certain amount of game time for those 7 subs, and then obviously when they go in, the next people are taking a break, and it's a lot of time not getting game time, when if there was a way around that, it would be a lot better. So if we were able to contact one of those 3 clubs that weren't involved at the minute, and it suited a club to come with 11 players, then it changes the whole aspect of the thing altogether. Now you can have 2 teams of 10 players each from the blue club. You can have the red club has a full team of 11 with 2 subs, and then if another club came with 11. So that way you have 4 teams of 10 or 11, and you only have maybe 2, maximum 4 subs probably over the whole day. So it improves the quality of the games, probably because you have 10v10 or 10 or 11v11, but also there's less time and downtime for those that are sitting on the sidelines or being subs. So it takes a little bit of organisation beforehand, but the fact that there will always be 3 clubs available should be an advantage, and it's up to the coaches to utilise them, and just a little bit of forward thinking and just picking up the phone and making that phone call with the other clubs and seeing, is it something that works out. Again, a huge importance on kind of forward thinking and knowing what's coming from another club and how many players you're going to have, in the simplicity of setting up how many pitches are we going to need, how many mentors are we going to need, and then if we can look at trying to improve the whole standard of the thing by bringing another club if possible. Obviously, if the numbers work out, that you wouldn't need it, that you'd have 10 kind of or 11 aside without any other club, that's great. Work away with the 2 clubs that's there, but it's just another option, or it might take us out of a hole someday, that we could use another club. And always, I have the little symbol of a phone there to remind me, don't be afraid to pick up the phone and chat to, you know, the game's development. So myself or Paddy or Seamus or Kieran or Damien, give us a call and we might be able to help out on the best solution to whatever scenario it is. So the numbers that are coming to clubs are always going to be changing, and how many teams are coming. So let us know if you need a hand, or if you're not too sure of the best options, and we can talk it out with you and probably give you some new ideas. So don't be afraid, always pick up the phone there. And then I'm sure Damien is going to say it as well, but whatever 3 clubs are on a buy, the option is there if you want yourselves to organise a blitz yourselves, if you felt that you wanted on a certain evening. But Damien will talk to you a little bit more about that.
Owen, can I just jump in there on that and a question that's propped up there? So yeah, if there are 3 clubs that are together, it's up to the fixtured clubs to, if they need to pull in somebody, pull them in nice and early, because otherwise the other 3 clubs will probably organise something between 2 of them. So they won't be there for that long. And just a question there from Mark about some players moving over on to the opposition. And that is absolutely perfect. It's something we have encouraged for a lot of years, but we are very aware there has been a lot of resistance to that, and clubs not willing to have players playing on another side, or saying that their kids don't want to go over there. And that's, look, it's understandable if that's the way it's been brought up. But of course that can happen, but we have seen it not work down through the years. So again, it's up to the 2 clubs to figure those things out. And as Owen says, we're there to help with any of those scenarios as best we can as well. Thanks, Owen.
No problem. So I'm actually handing you back over to Kieran now. So he's going to talk to you about when the Go games will be and the fixtures. So over to you, Kieran.
Thanks, Owen. You can actually jump to the next slide as well, if you don't mind. So the under 11 Go games, so your final year of the non-competitive Gaelic games, so from under 12 on, scores are kept, results, etc. like that. So make sure you go out and enjoy it. Make sure all the kids get loads of game time, and that they really cherish the last year of it. So the blitz is at the host clubs, with only 2 clubs to take part. So Owen kind of mentioned that already. So whoever's hosting is kind of the major in charge, in that they have to figure out how many players the opposition are bringing, how to make the teams, set up the pitches, talk to the club on the buy if you need an extra team, etc. like that. So the dates they're looking at, it, if you want to get your phone out or screenshot this again, they're the dates. All the games were pushed out into June because of government restrictions. So from the 10th of June we have our first one. So I'll just give you a second now if you want to take a picture of that. So 10th of June, 24th of June, 8th of July, 5th of August, 2nd of September, 16th of September, and then the 23rd of September is an optional depending on the school boys, whether the schools are back playing or not. I will bring in Damien now in a second. He's just going to talk a little bit about what the calendar looks like, because a lot of these under 11 players will have under 12 as well this year, and the odd few under 13 with some of the smaller clubs that we have to make up numbers. So Owen, do you want to click on the next, and Damien, I might invite you to come in as well.
Yeah, so I suppose a lot of the questions we've been feeling all year since last September, October, since we started planning for 2020, and it has gone through about 5 variations since, but has been this thing about us going at each age grade, so at the evens and the odds, and how that might look for coaches and players and all the rest. So between Gary and the underage committee and myself and lots of calls, we have, both online and in person, we have answered a lot of those as regards to from under 13 up to under 18 or under 19. But I'm sure ye coaches are asking yourselves, right, if there's under 12 and there's under 13, and I have a good lad that's under 11 and he'll be on the under 13 panel and he'll definitely be playing under 12, how is that all going to look in this very truncated season? So the 7th of June is our start date with the government guidelines. So on that Monday night, the under 13 league starts round 1. And it will run on Monday nights there. So we have 3 rounds in the month of June. Under 11 is on the Thursday night. So it's football, hurling, football for the month of June. So the 10th, the 17th, and the 24th. On you go on. So then we can see that the under 13 is running every week for 6 weeks. So all on the Monday night. And then we go hurling, football, hurling. So in this month of June and July, we have under 11 hurling and football, 3 blitzes at each, coinciding in the same week as under 13 league football. So look, at you know your players. I'm very sure that there are under 11s going to be on under 13 panels. Whether they will be playing or not and how much game time they'll be getting, only you will know. But they have 2 full days rest between an under 13 game and an under 11 game, and that's only 3 of the 6 weeks that's there. So you will see then at the end of July, the under 90, or the middle of July as it is, the under 19 or the under 12 will kick in on the 19th, again on the Monday night. So the under 13 is over and under 12 starts. So on you go again, on please. And you will see under 12 there is now dominant in August, with only 1 under 11 blitz where there's no under 12 on the same week, and then 1 hurling blitz towards the end of the month in August as well. So if ye as a club want to organise fixtures within any of those dates that you feel you can do it, then by all means you go off and do it. If you want to communicate that to parents, that this is going to be a free time, that under 12 is going to be taken over and under 11 is going to take a break, again, that's a choice that you can make. So we just want to be able to show you how the plan is going to look with the different age grades. And on to September on, please. So again, you see the under 11 kicks in at the beginning of September. Again, and under 13 starts off with their championship. It will run on the Monday night before it moves to a Saturday once the light is gone towards the end of September. And then we have our two fixtured under 11 blitzes, plus the optional of the one on the 23rd, depending, as Kieran said, on coming to Munskull. And possibly even the 30th there. You know, anything can happen, all going well at that point in the year if clubs want to do stuff formally or informally. There actually are extra fixtures already done out based on us starting back in April. So there was extra rounds done there. So it's very easy to just dig out another round. So again, might just let that hang for 30 seconds. If anybody has a comment there or wants to stick up their hand or put it into the chat box, feel free.
Damien, just on that, if the clubs that have nothing on in a particular couple of days or like that, they want to organise a blitz, do they have to let Pierce Park know, or do they go ahead themselves? Or
Yeah, great question, Kieran. So at any age grade, if you're organising something that's not organised for you, then you do have to seek permission for insurance reasons. So all that is an email to Peter O'Reilly at secretary.longford@ga.ie, just saying what age grade it is, the 2 or 3 clubs that's going attending, the time and the venue. And then that's fine. That's just covered for the insurance. So thanks for bringing that up, Kieran. What time of the day would these Go games potentially be on at? So 7 o'clock. The Thursday evenings are 7 o'clock. The Saturdays then are a little bit up in the air at the minute. We're a bit off that yet. So sorry, there's no under 11 on Saturdays. That's more the under 13 that would take place on the Saturday. So yeah, 7 p.m. on Thursday evening, same as what you would have been used to. Will contacts for each club be circulated to organise games? So those contacts are already up on our website, the same place as they were in other years. So if you just go into About Us, I think it is the heading on the top of the website, and then you just go down to contacts, and there are underage mentors for football and hurling, and you'll get everybody's phone number there, so you can communicate away there. Yep. That's all.
Damien, is the presentation going to be circulated afterwards? Mark is asking there.
Yeah, so we can do. The recording definitely will. The presentations haven't been something that we have been really sending out, but we will share the recording and we'll send the presentation back to the club secretaries. So you can touch in with them from sometime tomorrow morning and they'll have those.
Just a question on under 12 there as well. Sorry, I mean, yeah, what's the reason for retaining the under 12?
Yeah, it's a bigger reason that we are going every age grade all the way up, because we don't want kids we want to try and facilitate kids playing in their last year. Under 12 has been very, very good to us for the last 8 or 9 years. It has been the competition that has ran the smoothest, has had the most cooperation between clubs, has had the least walkovers. I think like with about 110 games, we're only getting like 2 or 3 walkovers. It creates the greatest vibe and I suppose enthusiasm out of all of the competitions that run in the county. We had been in bed with Leitrim, and we would hope to be revisiting that again when this whole situation plays itself down. Again, that has been very good for our clubs. And then under 12 is the first age grade where you can have a form of competition. So you cannot have that at under 11, and then you're up to under 13. So, I think if we took under 12 away, there would be a lot of people that wouldn't be happy with it, because it has been very, very good. It's a fairly full schedule for a player that's making an under 13 panel with under 12 and under 11. So look at, again, you can look back at the schedule there, but there are no 3 age grades crossing at the same time. Under 12 starts after under 13 finishes, and under 13 picks up again when under 12 finishes. And there are only a couple of those under 11 blitzes that cross over with the under 12, and then the bit of crossover that I addressed with the under 13. Again, only you can answer whether you have an under 11 player that will be playing full time with the under 13s. But as you can see there, they have 2 full days rest between it as well. So yeah, look at, again, games are very important for kids of that age. So I think there's a lot more learning in the games maybe than they are of some of the training sessions, if that was a need that you needed to drop that off.
I know myself, Damien, if there was a week where, just that example as well, that it might be a week even just to not have training, and that if they do have, just say that week in September I'm looking at here where there might be 2 or 3 games in the 1 week, maybe just call off training for that week so they have the time to recover, and the best training you can do is games anyway.
So again, if there's any other questions there, you can fire them in and we might let a couple more build up and we'll come back to it again. Thanks, Kieran.
Cheers. Owen, you might go on to the next slide for me. Thanks a million. So there's just a couple of tips for training, especially for this age group. You can jump on the next one, Owen, in that we particularly with under 11s, you should always have a team for training or a skill in the back of your mind when training. So I'm going to use just a hand pass as an example here. So if we're all doing the hand pass, or even the pickup maybe, because it's essential to the Go games to start. So what I would always use would be the 3-team model. So the miniature players they're put into 3 teams. So 2 teams straight into a game and another team in a skills area. So the idea behind it is that you're straight into your go games. You're developing the kids in the game situation, and that there's a third team with another coach out in the skills area. So during the game, they're playing the regular go games, the same rules, getting used to all the go games rules, and getting game time, match practice, and then in the skills area, they're practicing their hand pass or their pickup. They're playing a fun game that allows them to practice those skills under pressure. Then after 7 or 8, 9 minutes, rotate it round. So you might have the red team enter the skills area there, and the blue team comes in and plays a match against the yellow team. But once the teams have been through the skills area, all of a sudden there's more emphasis on the skill that you're working on. So whether it's the pickup or the hand pass in the game as well, you might award an extra point in the game for the correct technique of the hand pass, or if you get 4 passes in a row before you score. There's always a condition with the skill that you're doing. So just reading the 5 points there. So pick 3 teams. I've red, blue, and yellow bibs there, and place teams on either side of the game area and the other team in the skills area. So you 3 teams, 2 playing a match, 1 in the area. So before all that starts, you can play a warm-up game. So in either half of the pitches, all the reds together, all the yellows together, and in the skills area, they can all do the same game where it's stuck in the mud with footballs or something like that. They can all in their small teams, within their teams, play the warm-up area. And then the 2 teams that are in the game area play the match. And the third team is playing the skills. And that you rotate this so that no one is spending too long in the skills area, and that everyone's getting game time and everyone gets to play each other in the match as well. And once they've all rotated through that, your games suddenly get competitive. They're more conditioned that you want to focus on the skill that you're working on. Thanks, Owen. And just on the match day coaching was one of the things that came up in the rules earlier on. So focus on one skill or area to develop our game. So same with training. So if your focus on training is the hand pass this week, definitely bring it to the blitz with you. That's your area to develop for the first game. And then limit your coaching during the game, because like you said, you want your players to get stuck in, you want them to get involved. Don't need too many instructions, so minimal instruction during the games. And then in between the games, so your 2-minute breakup or whatever it is, or 90 seconds, identify something from that first game that they can work on. So whether it's you want more hand passes with your bad side, or you want 3 passes before you can score the next one. And then in the second game, praise any attempts that the players are trying to work on what you've taught them through. So if you're praising them for trying to follow your instructions, you know that they're listening. And that's how the coach is developing long term. Thanks, Owen. I won't go through this in too much detail. We've been hammering this home for the last year or so, but it's very important for contact tracing, for accountability, for knowing all your players are fully healthy, etc. So make sure all your coaches, parents are filling it in the Furin system in return to play. There is a video that Longford GA made, a step-by-step. It was sent to all clubs. So there is a play-by-play for this. And if there is any questions on that, don't be afraid to ask either.
And Kieran, just on that as well, like anyone that is somewhat familiar with it or getting better at it, there's a lot of functionality on the Fern more than just the health questionnaire. So you can put a message up that your parents, it doesn't come through as a notification, but it does appear on their account. So you can tell them about training, you know, what time to come, bring in their water bottles, make sure they have their gum shields. You know, if they're, you could even put up a team list already. So the blue team is and the red team is, and have all that out. So the kids know straight away when they come. They can also let you know whether they're attending training or not. So you can, instead of them firing messages back through a WhatsApp group, you can just direct them towards the Fern. Once you set up an event, they can go back and let you know through it whether they attend coming or not. So lots of really good stuff about that. If you talk to the main administrator in your club, they might be able to help you with those. And just Alan's question there, Paddy has answered it in the text box, that from today, it's the full contact is there while remaining in the pods of 15. And then obviously all our fixtures are not till the week beginning the 7th of June, which is the date the government has set out for fixtures to begin. Thanks, Kieran.
Just while I have you, Damien, another question there about the Furin app. Is it fully working or is there still issues? And is there a best alternative when parents aren't completing the questionnaire?
So if it's not fully working, then the issue, well, I suppose depending on what the issue is, if one of the bigger issues that we had a couple of weeks ago was some of the age grades not appearing on the club account. So that is an issue that the club can address themselves. Just on that page where Kieran is showing you, that's just a screenshot. But when you get that page, if you scroll down to the very bottom of it, there's a little help center tab there, and you can click on it, and it takes you to some frequently asked questions. It takes you to some little videos that help you do different things. So if there is an issue, it can be addressed. It's not an issue that everybody is having from. It's probably just a local issue. And Mossy, as regards to your question there, look, at the best alternative is to spend time with parents and get them to do it. You shouldn't try to be facilitating them with some other form of doing a physical record, because then it's coming back to you as the club that have to try and retain that. So if somebody is having trouble, maybe look for them to come a few minutes earlier. Maybe bring an internet connection down that you can hook up their phone if the reception is, maybe doubtful on their phone whether they have internet or not. But just try and set aside time where you can work with somebody to set it up on their phone, show them how to do it. And, that little video that we had, even if that's circulated, that people can watch it, it should help. And if there's people still having trouble, maybe just try and meet them and go through it. Because when we come to do cool camps, this is what we'll be doing as well. It'll be the health questionnaire will be in play, and anyone who doesn't have it done in the first morning, our coordinators will be spending time with them to make sure that they have that up and running for the following morning. So, not probably the answer you were looking for, Mossy, but hopefully you can get it done. Thanks.
Thanks, Damien. And that step-by-step video is brilliant, guys. So if anyone hasn't seen it yet, get onto your club, because all the clubs have copies of it. Just send it on to the parents. So finally, again, if you want to take a screenshot of this, it's just an easy thing to remember: your Go Games checklist. Have enough parents and mentors myself for the teams we have? Whistle, jerseys, first aid, all coaches. Have you all them? Your footballs, your smart touch, your quick touch like Owen mentioned earlier on. And probably the main one for me is, have I let the host club know how many players we're bringing? So if you're the host, do contact the visiting club, and visiting club be obliging and let them know how many you're bringing, because it's a disaster to try and plan when you've no idea how many players are coming and whether they need to get onto that teams to have a bye or not. Damien, do you want to come in here?
Yeah, thanks. Owen, is that yeah, okay, you're jumping into it. So in other years, we have to record the numbers that attend at blitzes, and a lot of you will be familiar. You would have been getting phone calls from me, or you getting a text message to reply back with the numbers from each club that had attended your blitz, with boys and girls. So this year we've fallen in love completely with these online forms. So we're going to try, and it makes life a lot easier. Most of you will be familiar with filling them out. So we have designed one here to capture the numbers attending Go games. So if Kieran with Longford Slashers, he's over the under 11s, Kieran is going to fill out this every week that he has a game, and he's only filling it out for himself, for his own club. So if you scroll down there, Owen, please, you just start with your name, the underage section you represent, so that's a drop down menu, the date of the blitz, so you just pick it from the calendar, then the age grade, so only click the calendar there. It pops up. So like all going well, it'll either be the day of the event, which is best, or you'll be going back to the day before. But obviously you can go back a little bit further if you need to. Then you pick the age grade that you partook in. So for us, it's under 11, and the total number of teams that you fielded. So by and large, this should be 2, but it could be 3 or it could be 1. Then the total number of boys that you had that attended, and the total number of girls who attended. And then just submit, and that's it done. So we'll be asking the lead mentor and then so I suppose it's just a little way of capturing some comments or observations. It'd be lovely to hear some good feedback from certain clubs that done things really well. We appreciate that some things mightn't go that well, and sometimes we would have no control over it, but it gives you the opportunity to flag anything that might be positive or need addressing. And then you just submit it. So probably 90 seconds, you would have that done, and you just need to do it after all your fixtures. Again, if you have a challenge match, then you should do it as well. Anytime that you play a game, just submit that. And it just means then that we can record all of this information, because we have to do it for Croke Park and for Sport Ireland. All of that is stated at the very top there. So again, it should be easy for you, and it means that you don't have to be counting numbers of all the other clubs that attended. You only need to worry about your own.
Thanks, Damien. So finally, guys, if you have any questions, fire them in the chat box or raise your hand or open up your mics. You might want to get your phones out as well and just take a picture. That's the first week of fixtures, the Thursday, the 10th of June. So Ballymahan, Lanesborough, Granard, Cumkill, Edgerstown, Clough, Clongish are all hosting.
These fixtures are all on the master fixtures doc on the website, or as Peter is getting through them. The initial ones are definitely there. He has June done, and he's just building the document as it's going along. So again, on the website under fixtures, you'll see master fixtures on the left hand side, and that opens up as a Word document. So all of these, so under 11 football will have that yellow banner with the blue writing, and under 11 hurling will have the blue banner with the yellow writing. And then anybody that's on here that's also involved in hurling will be covering all the hurling specific stuff this Thursday night.
It's going to give it another 60 seconds, guys, if you have any questions in the meantime. Just going to say thanks to Damien and Hone and to Paddy, Seamus, and everyone in the background for putting this together.
Yeah, and likewise to yourself, Kieran. All the lads, we've said it loads of times, the boys have been real superstars. All of us have hopefully really added value to your experience over the last 15 months, and they're all mad keen to get back out and meeting you on the field if it hasn't happened already. So yeah, at everything that we've put together, we've got great praise throughout the country and the province. So hopefully it has been appreciated and you have found it worthwhile.
A question there from Derek. Derek, do you want to open up your mic?
Yeah, how are you, lads? I'm just wondering what the reason is just for having one visiting team as opposed to having maybe three or two, let's say three clubs coming together at one venue. Yeah,
thanks, Derek. So a couple of reasons there. We have had a sense over the last while that the coming out of under 10 has been looking more like under 12 than it has where it's been coming back to. So we wanted under 11 to suppose reflect a little bit closer to under 12 while also maintaining the Go Games ethos and philosophy of the non-competitiveness and not keeping the scores and trying out different positions and all the rest. So we wanted to give teams, in as much as possible, the opportunity to play in full-size schoolboy goals. So at most the club would only have two sets of those. So when you start bringing in a third or a fourth club, it makes it a little bit more difficult. We feel that most clubs would be able to field two teams, whether that would only be 2 6s or 2 7s, up to the 2 11-a-sides. So that, say that first fixture there, Ballymahan Forgney and Southern Gales, they would play each other. The game itself has a little bit more length to it. It's got a natural half time that allows the coach to maybe address some issues from the first half. And if Southern Gales want to play themselves in the third match and Ballymahan want to play themselves in the third match, well, then they have that option to do as well. Or they just have the two games. So I suppose it's more meaningful games than what the under 10 would have been in other years. And it's a little step towards what under 12 might be. So I hope that answers that question, Derek.
Yeah, just one more thing.
Yeah. Sorry,
Damien. If you had a situation where, like, life is life, so something you have only one. So for us, for instance, in Vincent's now, we've about 20, 22 players. But say, for instance, we were going to a blitz, and for whatever reason, we'd only one team going. Yeah. So and wherever we're going to, say the first day we're going to Clongish, and they have only one team. So are we playing then a full hour, say 10 against 10? Like,
Yeah, well, I suppose you say one team, but I'd prefer to kind of talk about numbers. So if one team was, say, 11, I think just then, if you're not inviting one of the teams on a bye or two of the teams on a bye, then, and you're just sticking it with those two clubs and both teams have 11 players, I would reduce the size of the pitches and play a five-a-side and a six-a-side. I think it would be more meaningful to the players, and potentially you wouldn't knock the hour out of it. So again, it's what Owen had said about the communication and talking to the other club. And if it was a reason that, you know, there was something going on, like say a school tour or something that was reducing the numbers just on that night, by all means you can move it to the Wednesday or the Friday or Saturday or whatever it is. It's just all about communicating with the other club.
okay, thanks, Damien.
Lovely, thanks, Derek. A couple of questions in there. Can you complete the form on the phone? So you can. That's the same form for under 7, 9, 11 and under 12. It's the same link. So you just pick the age grade in the drop down menu. It looks really simple on the phone when you open it that way. Owen had it open there on a laptop, but when you open it on a phone, it's really clean and very easy. So same link works there, Liam. And girls are allowed play under 12. It's the last age grade that girls are allowed play with boys, not allowed play under 13, as per LGFA and GA. Will there be keeping clubs close to each other playing go games? So, Peter, you'll see there from the fixtures that clubs are spread out throughout the county. Those initial ones might be somewhat close, but as the fixtures go along, it's a licorice all sort. It's mixed every which way. So there's lots of variety there, and there is no sense within the county or within a national perspective of limiting games to areas close to each other. Obviously, we're a bit away from going cross-border yet, going out to another county, and that's more so because of travel and people on a bus or whatever else. But as regards to playing games internal within a county, there's no issue with being close or far away.
Okay, thanks, Damien.
Yeah, so it looks like there's nothing more there. If there is, just stick up the hand or fire it in. But hopefully you found this helpful. Hopefully it's something that you are looking forward to and that you will be able to get your teeth into, and that Kieran and Owen have given you some ideas as to how those games might look and the training sessions that might go around them. And you've got a good idea now of what your full season is going to look like. So yeah, again, wish you the best of luck. No doubt you are back training already, and if there's any follow-up that you need to do with any of us, we're always at the end of a phone or an email. Just by all means touch in with us, and we look forward to seeing you on the field as the rest of the season goes ahead. So thanks for joining us and showing the interest.